Welcome to the Pinning Combination Podcast. I'm KJ Pilcher alongside Dick Briggs, ready to discuss wrestling at the high school and college level. And this is a big week. The Iowa High School Athletic Association's traditional state tournament uh, begins in less than 24 hours. Coach Briggs, you have a lot of experience with this tournament. Can you kind of give us a perspective what the eve of the big tournament's kind of like?
Oh man, this is high anxiety time. I mean, this is what the wrestlers, the coaches, the parents, the families have all been working for so long, for this moment to get down to state and have an opportunity to maybe stand on top of that podium or somewhere along that podium. And some have already maybe reached beyond their expectations by even qualifying. So it's just a fun time, but it's high anxiety. I mean, there's not much sleep that goes on, and you're always trying to prepare your wrestler and the wrestler preparing themselves for success. So very fun times.
So this season, this year, really promises to be an exciting tournament, individual wise, team wise. Obviously, it's a new format with the field expanding to 24 wrestlers per bracket. Just kind of taking a look, what are your thoughts about this kind of moving to a 4-day event and having those kind of those expanded fields for the competitors?
Well, I haven't looked at the timeline. I thought 4 days was going to be a lot. That's a long time down in Des Moines, but and you really basically, if you're on the winning side, have one round a day, and then if you're on the backside, you'll have more. But and maybe it takes that much time to run it. So I was kind of surprised with that. As far as the 24 wrestlers, I think that's a good deal. Get more people in there. I mean, there's good things and maybe not so good things about that. Does it water it down? I don't know, but it gives people an opportunity to go down and compete and have that chance. So if someone's left out in a district in the past where you had maybe 3 really great strong wrestlers coming out of there, this allows them to get there now. So and in the 70s, I remember back when I was competing, there's my age right there, and they were in the 3 years I was in high school, the state meet was never the same. The bracket was always different. They were adding.
Oh, really?
Way. And so this isn't the first time that they've had a first round bye. The district champs have had a first round bye. That happened back then as well. So, we'll see if they keep it this way or if they tweak it again next year or whatever. But, it's fun to look forward to 24 wrestlers and per weight and, each of the classes. As far as the classes are concerned, you were kind of talking about that. The team race, I'm still giving Osage the nod at 2A. I think it's going to be a battle for second there. We'll see. But I think 1A and 3A are just going to be fun to watch. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, let's jump into 3A and talk a little bit about the teams. I think you kind of point to the big 3 right off the bat, and they didn't disappoint at districts. When you think about Waverly, Shell Rock, Southeast Polk, Bettendorf. Bettendorf qualifying all 14 weights, Southeast Polk with 13, Waverly, Shell Rock with 12. Their Yankee Centennial and Johnston both had 12 qualifiers, but really it comes down to those 3 teams, and boy, they're really loaded as far as about all the potential point scorers they could have are going to be down there.
Right, and it's going to be what you're exactly right. Those big 3, and they've been the big 3 in the past as well. Bettendorf kind of dipped down for Bettendorf a little bit. Now they're right back up, and look for them in the future because they're got some young wrestlers, some young studs on that team, including Coach Knight's son. But Jake and so it's going to be fun. There's a couple of matchups in the quarterfinals, I think, if I remember right, that could be kind of critical to that. So we'll see. I don't, maybe I'm thinking a different, I'm also thinking of 1A, there's a Wilton Albernet quarterfinal matchup too that could do that. So we'll see as the tournament goes on.
Just run down the schedule here really quick for people. Things begin Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. It's going to be like we said, a little bit different. You're going to have the first round, then you'll have the second round, and then first round constellations in the first sessions for each class on Wednesday, and it goes from small school to big school order with 1A, 2A, 3A, 2A starting at 1:30, 3A at 6. On Thursday, this is a little different, where you have the rounds starting off with consolation competition on Thursday with second round consies, then you have quarterfinals, and then third round consolations. That quarterfinal to third round, if I'm thinking, if I have the right bracket here, that quarterfinal, and then following consolation round is so tough. Is that still the round where you kind of go from being a win away from the podium and the top 6 finish to having to battle out for just to get back into the top 8?
What you're talking about? Friday morning?
Yeah, or Thursday morning, actually.
Thursday morning
with the third round consolation. Is that where the quarterfinalists drop down? I'm trying to see here.
No, they could drop down on Friday morning. So
okay,
after
so you don't have that, that gut wrenching. You have to turn around and kind of fight for your bracket life that we used to have. That's not the case now.
Yes,
right?
I think you do on Friday morning.
But Friday morning, but it's not right back in the same session like you used to have before. Or am I misremembering?
Because the loser Thursday night on the front side drops down and wrestles Friday morning. You're right. I see what you're saying. You bet. So that you're right. You don't have to turn around. That's a good thing, isn't it? Wow, that's
yeah,
so difficult.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I kind of went ass backwards trying to explain that, but thanks for being patient with me. Yeah, that round was always tough with quarterfinal losers, and then you just saw, there'd be guys waiting, on the Consi side, waiting for that opportunity to wrestle, and there's just this different dynamic where guys were crushed after a loss, and you had, guys kind of with nothing to lose on the Consi side and having to come back after those quarterfinals were so tough in the same round. Now wrestlers will have a chance to kind of regroup and gather themselves, and yeah, it's a better thing.
Right. You're right. And there's times when I had wrestlers on both sides of that coin where they lost first round, won that first night, won, so they came back and won their match, then got to sit the first round of the next day while their opponent lost. And so, sometimes you had wrestlers that may not have been as good as that person that lost, but because they're coming off a loss and their mindset isn't there, they might have nipped them. And I've had wrestlers in both sides of that one lose matches they probably shouldn't have, and won matches maybe they weren't supposed to. So yeah, that was gut wrenching. So that's nice that that's eliminated.
Kind of going back to the schedule, mention those Friday sessions. Again, opening with consolation rounds, got fourth round consolations, then semis, then the fifth round consolation. Saturday's a little bit more standard where you have competition through the placing matches, and then of course Saturday night starting a little bit earlier. The championship matches begin before 6 o'clock at 5:50. So um, hopefully that'll help with deadlines and stuff.
That's nice because it gets to be kind of a long night. If I remember right, about 10:30, it finishes somewhere in that
Mhm.
ballpark.
Right
And
on.
teams are going home. We would drive home after that and to save some expenses. And then um, the uh, so with that starting earlier, maybe we'll get out sooner. And because you have all the ceremony of medal ceremony and so forth, and that you have to go through. And that's you don't want to eliminate
Right.
that or anything, but that's
Exactly.
part of it.
So in 3A, we mentioned Bendorf has all 14 guys. Southeast Polk with 13, Waverly Shell Rock with 12. Almost looking, I would almost have to say Waverly Shell Rock probably has a little more top end firepower when you look at, some top seeded wrestlers, guys like Ryder Block at 138, Baz Diaz, 145, McCray Haggerty at 195. I think Jake Walker at heavyweight seated third. So you've got some top end uh, guys. Danny Diaz is seated third as well for Waverly Shell Rock. Um, it might be those guys that have to carry it, but if they want to outlast Southeast Polk or Bettendorf, they're going to have to get some help from the rest of the guys that have qualified.
And that's quite possible. There's so many strong wrestlers from different schools, that can knock off some of those wrestlers along the way, and maybe create an opening for like a Bettendorf, to just sneak in there. And boy, I don't know if you're given Waverly Shock, and you're probably right on that. But now it can go down to that depth. Do they lose a couple of guys along the way, and now all of a sudden, Southeast Polk or Bettendorf slips in there with 10 medalists instead of 8 or whatever, something to that effect. It's going to be fun. That's what makes it fun watching for us fans.
Yeah, see, and that's where Southeast Polk has 10 wrestlers that are seated eighth or better. Waverly Shell Rock 7, and that's where Southeast Polk might really kind of make hay, I guess you could say. Um, with that depth, and you know, you get somebody, you always know there's going to be somebody that's really going to outperform the seeding, right? So uh, you hope that's one of your guys, and that could make a huge difference. We've seen these two teams come down to, or the team race in general come down to, uh, the very end. Look at last year, Southeast Polk won, and they beat Waukee Northwest by 3. And we had a half point difference in 2A with West Burlington Notre Dame. So, um, we'll see how things just kind of play out. It could kind of come down to, kind of the young guys, like a Carter Pearson, 106, for Southeast Polk. I don't know if Bettendorf has, I don't know if they have enough to really out outplace or outscore Waverly Shell Rock and Southeast Polk, but you never know. You mentioned Jake Knight, and then there's Cody Trevino. You've got some guys with that are title contenders. So they put things together. You never know. But right now, I guess if I'm leaning, I'm kind of going Waverly Shell Rock over Southeast Polk and Bettendorf coming in third, and then kind of a whole gaggle of teams capable to finish fourth through sixth.
Right. That's going to be fun to see because that fourth place team wins the trophy, right? Is it top four?
I think so.
Yeah, four. I can't remember now. I think it's top four. So they'll be battling hard for that fourth trophy. And so you got some local teams in there that could be battling, Linmar and City High and maybe Hempstead. I don't know. They're going to be in the battle, I think. So
I really think you could see, Ankeny, Ankeny's a strong team as well. We saw Waukee Northwest put together a heck of a tournament last year, and they've got guys like Koufax Christensen and Carter Freeman, other state champs.
Probably Fort Dodge would be another one, maybe battling for that.
Yeah, Fort Dodge. I really like Fort Dodge. City High, I think, has an absolute chance with, they got Cale Seaton back at 126. Thought maybe his season was over after an injury at the Clyde Bean duels, but good for him that he was able to come back. You've got Gabe Arnold and Ryan Keeter. You've got some experienced wrestlers, obviously, like Kendall and Cale Kurtz. That could place Ryan Ott. Ryan Ott qualified. We haven't really heard his name much. I know he's kind of battled some things the last 2 years, and he's an individual that has a lot of experience, has been ranked during his career. If he's fresh and healthy and, maybe he makes a run, and that really, you get an extra medalist to go along with title contenders like Keeter that's going to put up bonus points, Gabe Arnold, and Cale Seaton, who's the top seed at 126. That really could propel them up to that trophy hunt, like you said, in fourth place.
Right. And then I'm not sure you mentioned Jake Mitchell either. He could climb on that
Right.
podium quite possibly. So the Seaton is a question mark. He wrestled in his first 2 matches and then medical forfeited his last 2 to be third. So we'll see how strong that knee is. And then I saw a team picture, and he was wearing a brace, which is, I would too. It's obviously a smart move. It gives him another couple of, another week or whatever, half a week to strengthen whatever needs to be strengthened in there. But it is great to see him back on the mat, and hopefully he's able to do well.
So a couple storylines that really involve Iowa City High, and before I get to that, I guess Linmar too is another team that I really think has the potential to jump into that top 5. They just have to put everything together. You've got Tate and Kane Nocturborn. They're both seated second. I think Braden Park is seated third at 132. Same with Grant Kress at 152. You've got Malik DeBow, who I believe is a returning state medalist, who's seated at
113, isn't it?
Yeah, seated 8th. So, so that's another guy projected to be on the podium. If they put some things together, they certainly could make a run for the top 5 as well. And with those storylines, is there any more anticipated finals match than Arnold and Nocturborn 4.
Round 4, right?
Yeah.
You know, for me, no. I've got to be in the gym for 2 and 3, and so and it was, it went into overtime in round 3. Let's see what happens round 4, and they're both great kids, and they're both competitive, and they both respect each other, and so it's a match that it's just gonna be fun to watch.
And that's I think one of the cool things about the that we've seen between the two. You got two nationally ranked wrestlers, one going to Iowa, one going to Iowa State. I think there's a sense of, obviously mutual respect between the two. And, both of them, talking to them after we covered, we did their duel at Linn-Mar at the beginning of January. Both of them said, hey, the other one makes me better. I, love competing against that guy, both of them have said that. So, that's really cool. And that, what was it, 8-3 at the Donnybrook at the beginning of December. Then you've got the duel that was just within a couple points. I think it might have been 5-3 or something like that. And then you look at the MVC finals that you mentioned, and that was what 3-2 in tiebreakers. So that gap is shrunk. We'll see if they take care of business, which kind of expect they will. Hopefully we get to see how that fourth one plays out on Saturday night, on one of the biggest stages. So that would be fantastic.
Right, exactly. Now I'm gonna change directions a little bit here, KJ, because I don't know. Hopefully you can say off the top of your head. How many guys do we have going for their fourth this
One.
year? Just Ben. Okay.
Just one that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Yep. We've got there's a handful of guys that are going for their third. Like Ryder Block. I think McCray Haggerty going for their third. I think Carter Freeman's going for his third as well. In other classes, Brandon Paez from Lisbon is looking to become a 4-time finalist. And he went 1-2-1 and looking for his third. Wyatt Reese of Logan Magnolia is looking for his third as well. But Keeter right now is the only one going for his fourth, and looking to become the 32nd Iowa High School 4-time champ.
Great. And obviously Nocturborn is going for his third as well, 4-time finalist.
Yes. Yep.
So, yeah. Okay, cool.
And the only reason why right now he wouldn't be going for his fourth is because of Ben Keeter.
Yep. That was a match I was very excited to see 4 years ago.
Yes. And that brings me to something about Ben Keeter that I always kind of geek out on stats. I like doing research and stuff like that. Ben Keeter is looking to become, what is it, the 7th unbeaten wrestler in Iowa high school history.
I know that they're not named Briggs or Pilcher.
Yes, that is correct. Even though there is a Briggs that wrestled one of them, right? Don and wrestled Gable in the state tournament.
In the state finals, in the first period ended 2-2.
There you go.
That was about as good as it got.
So there's a Briggs connection somewhere there. But can you name the 6 guys that went unbeaten in their careers?
Well, Jeff McGinnis and Keeter, both at City High. I can't go any further than that without better help. I'll be here all day.
So Dan Gable
Oh yeah.
went 64-0. Of course, back then freshmen weren't allowed to compete. I think just in the big schools, I know we kind of exchanged messages about this, but Gable wasn't able to wrestle varsity as a freshman because of rules. So he won from 64 to 66. That's why he's not a 4-timer. Jeff Kerber from Emmitsburg went 126-0 from 76 to 79. Dan Knight went 128-0 for Clinton from 84 to 87. Then you had McGinnis from City High, went 172-0 from 90 to 93. And of course, I had some teammates and got to see a few of those wins up close. Then Eric Jurgens from Makokata went 144-0 from 93 to 96, which happens to be the only time unbeaten wrestlers kind of overlapped in this group. And then the last one to do it was Johnny Meeks from Des Moines Roosevelt, who at 168-0 from 2009 to 12. And of course, we were really close to having 2 more individuals join that list, except Brody Teskey and Alex Thompson split matches their senior year, one at Cedar Rapids Jefferson. So that kept them from joining the group. And right now, Ben Keeter is 107-0 coming in. If he finishes things off, he'll close at 111-0. And do you know what distinction Ben would have over all 6 of those at that list?
Boy, I don't know. He had to do it during COVID years. So what distinction?
Well, that's kind of interesting because the COVID year is one of the reasons why his win total is so much lower than most people, because the COVID year, City High wasn't able to practice or compete the first half of the season until January. And then even after that, I'm pretty sure they had like a 2-week COVID shutdown once they did get rolling at the beginning of January. So he entered districts with like 4 matches or 5 matches.
Right. We covered one of their duels, and maybe was at Iowa City West, but neither one of the teams had wrestled very much, and that was like middle or end of January, it seemed like.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the distinction that Ben Keeter would have over all these other wrestlers if he joins that elite club, he will be the heaviest of all of them. And actually, his freshman weight of 160 is higher than, it's probably about 1, 2, 3 weights higher than what Johnny Meeks finished as a 138-pound champion, and that was the highest weight class that any of these guys had wrestled before Keeter. So he's done it at the upper weights where everybody else were lower weight wrestlers. So
I would have guessed Kerber to be heavier than 38, but it's been a long time ago. I don't remember.
No, Kerber went 98, 112, 119, and 126.
Oh boy, I was way off.
Yeah. McGinnis went 103, 112, 125, 130. Jurgens went from 103 to 125 over his 4 years. And then it was Johnny Meeks of Roosevelt that went 19, 25, 30, 38 when he was finished. And Gable went 95, 103, 112.
I remember the one. I remember the 112 one.
Mm-hmm. That's the one.
Those guys. We wrestled Kerber. I'm not Kerber. Makokata. Jurgens. We wrestled in the finals. One of my wrestlers did end in the semifinals. He had 4 losses in 2 years, all to Jurgens. And
Really?
boy, in the finals, we had him on his back and didn't get the pin, but it was close. And
Really?
yeah, oh yeah, and but that was John Velasic. He was such a great wrestler for me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Then we wrestled McGinnis twice with Mark Ironside. Of course, that was a much anticipated match, and they were great matches too. So not finals
Right.
because they were different weights.
Different weight classes.
Yep.
Yep. One thing too about Peter, he has only had 6 matches in his career that have been decided by decisions. The rest of his matches have all been bonus point decisions, and only 11 total, I believe. Let me see here. 11 matches have gone the distance out of his 107 matches. His 6 out of the 6 matches that were decided by decision, 2 of them were those matches against Tate Nakaborn, their freshman year in the finals of the MVC Super Meet. And then in the state finals, I think those were decided by a total of 3 points each. His freshman season, he wrestled at state, opening round match against Cade Schmidt of Norwalk was the decision. Then he had a major decision, and then he beat Helgeson of Johnston in the semis by decision as well. Jake Walker, who was his finals opponent their sophomore year. Jake Walker, who's seeded 3rd for Waverly at heavyweight this year. That was a 5-0 decision in the finals. And then in the finals of the Dan Gable, Donnybrook, his junior year, he scored a takedown in sudden victory against Gavin Nelson, nationally ranked wrestler from Simley, Minnesota. So those are the only times he's gone to a decision in his career.
And in that match at the Donnybrook, if I remember right, I thought the Simile wrestler was ranked number 1 at the time, and Ben Keeter was 2 or 3 or something like that. Did a nice takedown in overtime to win that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
wow, that's impressive.
Definitely been dominant.
That's so impressive. Geez, what a career.
So we'll see if he can finish that off. Right now, I think that would be so. So in 3A, what do you have for say your top 3 teams?
Well, I think it's the 3 we mentioned. So I'm going to go with, since you went with Waverly Shell Rock, I'm going to go with boy, I've been going back and forth all day, just thinking about this. I'm going to go with Southeast Polk. Oh man. All right, Southeast Polk, Shell Rock, and Waverly Shell Rock, and Bettendorf. Bettendorf could get all 14 on the podium. They could win it all. So that. So.
That's a good mix. What about do you see a team like City High or Fort Dodge, or who do you see rounding out the top 5?
I'm a little concerned with City High and Seton.
Sure.
So that would be a critical area where he's at there. If he's strong and can have a good tournament, certainly they could slide in there for that 4th spot. Linmar, Waukee Northwest, Fort Dodge. I'm going to go with even Hampstead has some, like their number 2 seed at 220, and their number 2 seed at with pins at 13. And if they've got some
60.
You're right, exactly. And so Hampstead's one that could sneak in there as well. So
Joe Lewis at 220.
Right.
So yeah.
I'm
That's
gonna
the
go with Linmar.
okay.
I don't know.
So do you have I mean this might be really easy. If you had to bet your house on one individual coming away with a state title in 3A, who would it be?
Well, of course, Ben Keeter. So
Okay.
let's eliminate him.
All right.
Let's go with uh boy. Um Colfax Christensen doesn't he have Jake Knight as the number 2 seed there?
No, Knights at 13, Christensen's at 20, but 120 is a bracket that's filled with um like all kinds of finalists. You've got the Keister, I believe, from is the Bettendorf kid who's seated third. Then you've got Downey from Indianola, and then Blake Jimo, who just happens to be a two-time finalist, is the number 4 seed.
Right.
You know,
It's Downey, who's who I was thinking of. Yeah. Okay.
okay,
That's so 20 is not a lock. Oh, geez.
right?
Uh, man. And heavyweights is all over the place. That's a scramble.
Yeah.
Uh, who's it? Who's the 13 number 1 seed?
Let me double check.
I was thinking
I know Jake Knight's the number 2 seed. There, the number 1 seed is Drew Ayala from Fort Dodge.
that's not it. Oh, geez. Who am I forgetting in here somewhere? I boy.
Well, I'll give you mine if we're going outside of Keeter. I'll say Ryder Block at 138.
Oh yeah, Block. That'd be easy. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's who I was forgetting.
What about a dark horse? Do you have anybody outside of, kind of the top 4? Or have you even been able to really?
Haven't really thought much about that. So.
Okay. Well, I'll give you mine. Just because that's what I've been doing. So, at 170, I really like Jacob Fissler from Dallas Center Grimes. I'm not sure why. No real rhyme or reason, but he's my pick at 170 to kind of be that dark horse champion. So he's kind of my underdog pick, I guess, in 3A. Jacob Fissler of Dallas Center Grimes. So we'll go with that. Let's move on to Class 2A really quick with the team. I think 2A is going to, last year we saw West Burlington Notre Dame kind of succeed with the whole quality over quantity. They're kind of in the same boat. I just don't think. I think this is a different Osage team. I think this is Osage team that's really gonna do something special down there. They've had this tournament sweep in their sights for they did not hide their desire to sweep team titles here after the state duels.
I don't know why they would either.
Yeah, they're coming guns a-blazing, I think, and I think you're going to see that in the results. They're stacked, and they have kind of a murderer's row, as Brent Jennings called it, in the middle of their lineup. Where you've got guys like Tucker Stengel and Nicholas Fox, who are top seeded at 45 and 70. But you really can't count out West Burlington Notre Dame if Osage stumbles a bit, because West Burlington Notre Dame only has like 6 qualifiers, but the majority of them, I think 5 of them, are seated like 5th or better, and 4 of them are top 2 seeds. So you're looking at 4 guys possibly in the finals. Based off those seeds, if Osage stumbles, West Burlington could pull off what they did a year ago.
I wouldn't disagree with you on that. They have the quality again, and as we were saying, Osage has the quality and quantity. So if that quantity dissipates, that opens the door for West Burlington for sure.
Mm-hmm. We mentioned some of the top guys for Osage. You also look at Burlington Notre Dame, where they have number one Caden Dietzenbach at 126, and then CJ Walrath at 182. I know Carter West, their number two seed at 106, is certainly capable of coming away with a individual title there. He's the number two seed behind Braden Bonesack of Union. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays out. And we've seen 2A seems to be the class where if you have 4 or 5 guys that place really, really high, you have a chance, just because I think things are so spread out more, and you have that depth more so than 1A and 3A. You've seen it with Waller, go down with 3 or 4 guys. I remember Independence had a trophy winning team with 4 guys, and Zimmerly and Lehman, Albert, O'Laughlin, I think, was part of that group. If you have some really high point scorers, you can do a lot of damage with less. I just don't know if there's anybody outside of those two that can really make a run. As much as West Delaware is experienced and has depth and balance, I just don't think they have, that big Wyatt Volker type of, dominant wrestler that'll kind of carry them through. Mount Vernon's a team that, boy, maybe they had, one or 2 guys that could make the finals. They have the makings of a team that can do really well.
I was just gonna say now it becomes a battle of can West Delaware hang on to third? I mean, I know they're shooting for better than that, but if you look the other direction, can Mount Vernon surpass them now that they've got Young Green in their lineup, and he must be pretty healthy. He's a fairly high seed and has had some matches under his belt. So so add that to their firepower, and they're another team that's got some good balance across the way, and that balance could lift them up above West Delaware. So that's another one I'm going to be looking at. And then with Union, Union has 2 number 1 seeds in
Right.
Bonesack at 6 and Hedeman, is it?
Hedman. Yep.
Isn't he a returning champ?
Yep.
Yep, at 13. So I don't know that they have the balance, but they have certainly those 2 guns.
And I know they have another Caleb Olson who's seated 7th, so he's projected to get on the stand too. That's and you've got a lot of teams. See, that's the one thing about 2A. You've got a lot of teams like that where you've got Union that have 2 title contenders. You have Greene County that has Cale Peterson at 132 and McKinley Robbins at 138 that are top seeds and title contenders, obviously. Then you have Webster City. You got Webster City, who's number 2 seed, and CJ Hissler. I think Jackson Cherry at 220 is the 3rd seed. You've got Carson Doolittle, who's the number 1 seed at 120. So they have the makings of putting 3 guys on, in the Saturday night or on top of the award stand. And you've got that with West Burlington, Union, Webster City, Greene County, Osage. Who's to say, maybe West Delaware, they've got a top seed in Cam Guther at heavyweight. Maybe a Brent Yankovic, breaks through, or Will Ward at 195 has shown that, he can compete with the best in the state, there as well. So, 2A, even though I think Osage is a front runner and I don't see them faltering, and I still like West Burlington Notre Dame at number 2. The rest of that could be a hodgepodge. And we're not even talking about Sergeant Bluff Luton, for goodness sakes, which is, certainly a team that could finish 3rd, with their depth and their talent.
Right. And, back to West Delaware, I know they've gone down the last couple of years with the individual tournament and came back a little less than satisfied. And, so hopefully they can, this year reverse that and wrestle above their seeds and exceed. And, maybe they will break into that top 1 or 2. So we're certainly not counting them out, but, realistically, I suppose we're kind of looking at 3rd on paper anyway.
Kind of interesting. I saw a thing on social media earlier where they have a pre-tournament ritual called the burning of the brackets, which probably not the safest thing to let high school kids play with fire, but we'll overlook that. But they were out in the parking lot or on the sidewalk burning the brackets, in a sense, because seeds don't mean anything. And the only focus should be on the effort and what you do in the match and performing. So they burn the brackets because it doesn't mean anything. And I thought that was kind of cool.
I think that's really cool. And I'm sure they had fire extinguishers outside. So, because
no need for OSHA or the school district to be worried. But just to kind of highlight Mount Vernon a little bit too. They've got they just have, if they can just kind of up their seeds a little bit, they really could make a run. You've got Jason Jackson Jaspers, who are seeded 5th and 4th at 126 and 145. You've got Mikey and Henry Ryan, who are seeded 7th and 6th at 138 and 170. Clayton Perot, their 106 pounder, is seeded 10th, but has been ranked much higher throughout the season, and somebody that certainly could earn a top 8 finish. And then you mentioned Clark Young Green was the top seed a year ago, got sick and ended up finishing 4th or 5th, I believe. He's coming back and he's looked good. I think his only loss so far was to Brock Mueller of Osage, who's number 2 seed, and I think the returning state champ at the state duels. So, he's on the top side of the bracket. He's somebody that certainly, if he's healthy and strong, could wrestle above that seed as well. But Mount Vernon, if things go well for them, they should be right there in that top 4, top 5 battle.
Absolutely. And I'm I remember when we covered them, I think Coach Light said they have like 6 or 7 brothers and sister.
Yeah, right.
Yes, very cool in that Mount Vernon. So now you've got 2 of those sets of brothers that have qualified, and it'd be nice if, I mean, what a great thing to have them both stand on the podium and very high up. That would be very nice for the Mustangs and their fans.
Mhm. So if you had a pick to click in 2A, somebody, let's call it the betting the farm guy. Who would you go with?
Oh gosh, probably Walrath, I guess.
That would be a really good pick. That's I think between him and maybe Jace Hedeben of Union Community at 113, I think those are the 2 that I would go with.
Yeah, maybe Fox at Osage.
Fox at 170. Maybe Cale Peterson
Cale
at
Peterson.
32.
Oh, Cale Peterson, yeah.
Yep. So a lot of top competitors in 2A. So just have to mention some of the Cooper Sanders from Vinton Shellsburg is the number 1 seed. His brother Gabe won a title last year. Sanders was a runner-up. Cooper Sanders was a runner-up, and of course his sister Chloe Sanders was a runner-up at the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union state tournament a couple weeks ago. So I expect him to be wrestling Saturday night again, and hopefully take that one extra step. Now for dark horses, I think my pick, I'm gonna kind of go up to the upper weights again with this in 2A. I'm gonna go. I think my pick for the lowest seed to win it is going to be Gabriel Christensen from Ballard at 195. Again, no rhyme or reason. That was just one that just kind of stood out to me. And I think that's going to be my underdog champ in 2A.
All right, you're catching me off guard on these, so I'm kind of scrolling through here quickly. How about if I go 4 seed 160, or I don't know if it's 4 seed, but at 160 Gas from Osage.
Okay, that's a good one. That's one certainly I considered. My pick for 160 is probably the silliest reasoning for a pick, but just because I wanted to. I went with Sir Brandon Watts just because I love his name. I had to get Sir Brandon Watts on there somewhere. So I love that name. So I hope he does well at 160. And Gast is one of those guys that he had a big win against Logan Payton at the duels. And he just, I think he kind of gets overshadowed a little bit, because you have that strong group of, you've got Tucker Stengel, you've got Nicholas Fox, Blake Fox, Anders Kittleson. You've got so much. He just kind of nestled right in there, and might overlook him a little bit. But I like your pick. I like that. That's a good one.
Oh, we'll see.
Yeah,
Probably pick a couple of them in that weight class.
sure.
Buda Coffer from Fresco. Yeah.
And I didn't mention the top qualifiers. Not that Osage needed any of the help, but Osage and West Delaware both had 10. Mount Vernon, Sergeant Bluff, Luton, Winterset um, had 9, and then Creston and Glenwood with 8 apiece. Williamsburg sending 7 down from their district. They're kind of led by Gavin Jensen and Gable Dayton, who are both seated in the top 6. And then the one I'll say to look out for, Nielsen is seated 10th, but I have a good feeling we might see him walking around during the Grand March and making the podium when it's all said and done.
And I don't know if you mentioned Lincoln Strop at 106.
Oh, I did not, but
right, there's a district champ that's got a brother that showed him the way.
That's right.
And,
That's right, Jalen.
Bubba. And so,
Yep.
That, at 106, anything can happen.
Exactly. And he had a big win over Clayton Perot at the WAMAC tournament too, I believe, and keep that rolling into Des Moines. So we'll move on to 1A here. The one big kind of eye-opening district performance, even though I'm not sure that's a team that'll bully their way into a trophy, but Nashville Plainfield sending 13 guys to the state tournament. Al Frost has got to be pretty happy with them taking all but one down to Des Moines.
With that thought, this kind of jumped into my, I've always been a 3A guy, so it's always been district state. And I had forgotten this is the first year for 1A and 2A that it's district state. They haven't had to go through two qualifying tournaments just to get to state, where you have an opportunity to lose more, have more people eliminated from state. So I'm guessing the teams are pretty excited about having just district state at the 1 and 2A level. Nothing changed at 3A, of course, but
right.
So here's a Nashville Plainfield that has 13 going down, and if they had the old format, would they still have 13? I don't know, but so they've got to be through the roof excited, I would think.
Yeah, Nashville Plainfield's always been in that kind of lumped in an area that's just a really tough 1A and 2A area. Remember, I want to say it was a year one of the first years that I covered, I think Don Bosco, Nashville Plainfield, and Hudson might have all crossed paths in the postseason. Like they're either districts or state or sectionals, districts or what have you. I think they all crossed paths together. Where I can't remember which team won sectionals. Might have been Nashville Plainfield won sectionals. Don Bosco ended up winning the team title in the district meet. And then Hudson, who had CJ, the Edelsons and Yuska and those guys, they ended up winning state.
Wow.
So it was really one of the craziest things that I kind of remember. I don't think that's going to happen here. But Nashville's always been a part of that tough area, and for them to get 13 through, and including a couple top seeds and Jaden Rinkin and Garrett Rinkin, they're going to add to the fun, which could be an amazing team race with Don Bosco, Wilton, Lisbon, Albernet, Nashville, Plainfield, kind of leading that charge.
And you don't count out Waterloo Columbus either. I mean, they've got a returning champ, right?
Yep.
And I got to see those guys up at the Iron Sharpens Iron camp this summer, and they were working hard. So I'm not going to count those guys out. So
They've got three individuals that really have good shots. Obviously, Maximus Magana, love that name too. Obviously he's one of the top wrestlers, regardless of weight and in Class 1A, and he's a returning champ. But then you've got Knip, and is it Hertz?
yes, 182, Carson
Yeah.
Hart.
Carson Hart's that they all have the potential to be wrestling on Saturday night.
Right.
No doubt about it. So
Let's see.
that's a good point, and they have some pretty big point scorers that they can rely on. Don Bosco, they're sending 11. They've kind of got the depth there. They're led by 220-pounder Jared Theory, who's number 1 seed. Caden Kanak at 145 is the number 2. But they've got eight guys that are seated in the top 8. So that depth probably will be enough to help them. But you've got Wilton, who's got 10 wrestlers. Alburnett and Lisbon both have 9, and both of them, you've got Brandon Paez, Lisbon. We mentioned he's looking to be a 4-time finalist and 3-time champ. Heavyweight Wyatt Smith, who's unbeaten. Those guys, they get some of the support from some of their others, like Wes Sadler at 106, Kieran Boots at 138. They really can make a jump.
Right, 138 in our area is just solid 1A, isn't it? We got to watch it all in one night with Bridgewater Northwind, and I assume he's number 1 seed. I don't remember off the top of my head.
He's actually the 3 seed.
Is he the 3 seed? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's 138 is kind of crazy as far as the seeding goes, but I'll break that out here really quick.
So then throw in Brody Neighbor and of course Boots that we mentioned. So
yeah. So the number 1 seed is Blake Allen of Underwood. And then kind of the party crasher here from South Winneshiek, Colin Holm. He's 37-1. He earned the number 2 seed, and then you have Bridgewater that's number 3. Boots is 5. Brody Neighbor is 6. But that's one where it's not out of the question that your finals match is a 5 and 6 seeds. That's how good the talent pool is in
no kidding, yeah.
138. But really like Cale Bridgewater there. He's had a heck of a season so far. But do you think, talking about Alburnett and Brody Neighbor being the 6 seed, Carson Klosterman at 152 is the number 2 seed. You have Rowdy Neighbor, that's the number 4 at 113. And I tell you what, I know Eli Becerra is there as the top seed for Missouri Valley, but Brody Neighbor, I think, has the ability to make a deep run. and sure he'll be looking for an upset if he gets a chance to face Becerra in the semis.
I would think so. And then who did you say the 6 seed was?
Brody Neighbor
Who's oh, he's the 6 seed. Who's the
at
third?
138.
I should be asking who's the 3rd seed. I'm sorry.
At
At
138. At what weight?
138, 1A.
Bridgewater's number 3
Oh, so it's going to be Bridgewater and Neighbor in the
in the quarters.
quarters. Oh, ouch. Doggone it. I wanted to see those two guys not have to wrestle each other in advance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then believe Preston Klosterman is the number 4 seed for Alburnett. So, Alburnett's in a position to really do some good things. Yeah, Preston Klosterman, the number 4 seed at 126. So,
Right. You might have mentioned Keeney, but I'm not sure you mentioned.
No, I did not.
You got Keeney and Kufal also in there that could.
Yeah, Kufal is a 6 seed at his weight as well.
So Alburnett, man, they from 106 up to about 170, is it? They're strong. So they can definitely maybe jump up into that 1-2 range or 3 trophy range.
Does anybody have the firepower to knock off Don Bosco?
I think they would need help. I think someone's going to have to knock off some of Don Bosco's wrestlers to do it, which we know can happen at the state tournament. But Don Bosco is usually one that doesn't stumble too much. So, but anything can happen.
Yeah, and I think that we talked about kind of how things would be like from 4 through 6 and 3A, and even like 4 through 6, 7, or 8 and 2A. I think Don Bosco is a clear favorite. I just do, unless people get some help, and Don Bosco always seems to go on they get things rolling, and they always seem to build a swell of momentum at the state tournament that just elevates them this time of year. But between Wilton, Lisbon, Alburnett, you mentioned the firepower that Waterloo Columbus has. Boy, that 2 through 5 could be kind of a jumble a little bit.
Right.
I know Wilton has done very, very well. Just kind of giving them the nod on that right now. So I've got Don Bosco, Wilton, and then I just have Lisbon at number 3. They've got heavy favorites in Paez and Smith for state titles. They're probably the healthiest they've been. You've got Sadler and Tiernan Boots, Indy Harbaugh, Indy Ferguson. Even though his seed's a little bit lower than what he's been ranked most of the season, he puts things together. He could place in the top 6, I think. I think they'll just have enough to edge Alburnett for 3rd.
Okay, and I'm going to do it just the opposite. I'm going to go with Alburnett just edging Lisbon, and don't ask me why, because I've watched both of them, and they're both very capable teams. That's for sure.
Well, I think really Alburnett just has a better balance. I just they've got those guys in that 4 through 6 range, kind of more across the board. So I can certainly see that. That's where it's so hard trying to determine, because because you never know. And I just don't think Nashua Plainfield just has enough to go with the Rankins and a couple other ranked wrestlers to really kind of budge into that top four. But you know, they'll be right there with some others for the top five finish.
Right.
Uh, individual, who are you betting the farm on?
Oh boy, there's some good choices. Paez, Porter, oh boy, Smith.
Yep.
I'm probably gonna go with Porter. People Porter Underwood.
Okay, that's a good one.
But McGanis is good strong.
Yeah, I think you can't go wrong with Gable Porter. You can't go wrong with Magana, Jackson DeWald from Sloan Westwood or Theory at 220 for Don Bosco. Smith has been dominant. What? Yeah, I just go with Paez. I think Paez is my pick, even though you could go with any of those others that we mentioned. The one weight class I do want to hit really quick, even though it's not any of our area guys. I'm really interested to see how 160 plays out. We talked about the Arnold Notgeborn final that is highly anticipated, right? If they take care of business at 160. You've got Wyatt Reese of Logan Magnolia, who's 48-0. He's going for his third title. Won it at 138 last year. And then you've got Dominic Lopez. His brother Marcel was a four-timer last year. Dominic Lopez is the number 2 seed for New London. He's 54-0. He got third in that 138 bracket from a year ago, but Reese and him did not wrestle there. But the two of them have combined for 102 wins this season. If they take care of business and wrestle Saturday night, I think that's the final in 1A that I'm kind of really most looking forward to.
Yeah, that looks like a good one. Wow. 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
There.
So, and, take it easy on you on this one because 1A, I did not really have an underdog upset special for champs. I think I kind of went 1-2, ones and 2 seeds all the way across the board. I did not really feel there was a big actually
I'm gonna pull one out.
yeah, I think my I had Caden Shirk from Wilton winning at 182, and that's my lowest seed. He's a number 3 seed. So
just scanning through, and that's who I pulled out. Caden Shirk. He's 46-1 on the year, and I think Wilton's going to get on a roll.
Really,
they may be hoisting that gold trophy. So we'll see.
Okay, all right. So that's really looking forward to. I think compared to some years past, I really think that the team races could be fun to follow. This year, I think you'll have some outstanding individual battles too, especially when you get down to Saturday night. You always see it anyway, but this year I think could be a really special tournament down in Des Moines.
A lot of fun.
Nope. Where's your favorite place to eat in Des Moines?
Boy, through the years,
you guys ever have a go-to place?
I used to have but every time I get one, they'd close. There was a steakhouse that was down by the quarry, kind of towards West Des Moines, that got flooded all the time, and ended up closing. But man, did they have it kind of reminded me of an old gangster place. You walk in,
Really?
yeah, they'd had a piano bar or something, or a pianist playing there or something, and they had fabulous steaks. Gosh, I don't remember what that was called, but so anymore, I don't. I just kind of hit the chain ones. So
Okay. Now, as a coach, did you like to stay close to the arena, or did you like to get kind of the hell out of there and
well,
kind
I've
of go
been
off onto?
we would stay down at the what's the old hotel down there, and we'd walk through the skyway there to get up. And that wasn't bad, but I
Oh, Hotel Fort Des Moines.
yes, that's it. Yeah, and you know who stayed there when we were there? He lived there evidently. It was Tiny Tim.
Really?
He lived there, yeah, permanently. I mean, all year long.
Boy, if there's anybody under 40 watching this, they'll have no idea who Tiny Tim is, but I do.
Yeah,
Did he tiptoe through the tulips?
he did. He brought out his uke. No, I never saw him. But
That's cool. That's cool. So, all right. Any other general comments about state or anything before we just briefly hit on college the D1 action?
I'd say good luck to all the competitors and their families and coaches, and be safe, be smart down there.
Okay. Have fun, but not too much fun, right?
Right.
And let's hope for good weather Saturday night so we're not driving home in a blizzard. Done that before, and that's not fun. But uh, let's just touch quickly on some of the college results from last weekend. Most notably, and really the biggest thing, Iowa State and UNI wrestling at the McLeod Center. Apparently, over 5,700 fans were in attendance. That's UNI attendance record for a home duel. And similar to the year before, came down to the final match, and Sam Schuler closed it out for the Cyclones.
I just thought it as you were saying it. I wonder what the capacity or what the attendance was when UNI opened the Unidome against Iowa. Must have been below that number. So,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
there was a bunch there, so that's my one.
Maybe okay. So here's the distinction to that. According to the UNI press release, it's 54 spectators in the stands. UNI set a new record for attendance in a wrestling event inside the McLeod Center. So that may not include the Unidome. Oh, and it actually mentions it does mention the program's all-time attendance record for wrestling was set back on February 7th, 1976 in a duel against Iowa in the first ever event to be held inside the Unidome. And how about this? How interesting is this? A few weeks ago, they just had the 300th. I think was it the 300th wrestling duel or event in Carver, and the very first event in Carver Hawkeye Arena was a wrestling meet. The first ever event at the Unidome, wrestling meet. Go figure.
Cool.
Yeah.
I was there that night. Yep.
Ah.
Anyway,
were you competing?
I was supposed to, and I hurt my knee the night that about 2 days before, so I was not able.
So, okay.
Yep.
But still, you're a part of that event. That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But anyway, so back to the Iowa State. Sorry about that. I kind of
that's a
deviated us there. Interesting stuff though. The Iowa State got my Panthers 19-12, and it was a decent battle. I thought it was a great meet, and I got a point to, unfortunately, as a Panther, to 174, where it came down to a takedown and a turn. Runyon had the lead in the third period and then got taken down and kind of appeared like didn't really battle to protect his back very much. It was kind of more battling the takedown or something. Anyway, he gave up a near fall as well, and that was the difference in the match. And boy, you turn that one around, it's a 1-point meet, and
Right.
you don't know what will happen after that. So anyway, but some good stuff going on in that tournament or in that duel.
Yeah, just almost every single match was highly contested. You didn't really have a lot of blowouts outside of, Carr and Yan at 165, which, not saying that that's kind of expected, but you can kind of see that. But when you look at, 125 was decided by 2 points, and then Zach Redding with a big win, beating Kyle Biscaglia 4-2 and sudden victory. Cal Happel with a big win for UNI at 141. He kind of had a tough weekend a little bit ago with Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, and he gets a big win over Casey Swiderski 4-3. And then Adam Allard filling in at 149 took Panero Johnson to 3-1. Then you look at Keckeisen and Coleman going 7-5, and then Schuler winning 4-1 in the final match, when UNI still had a chance, even though they needed some bonus points there. But a lot of really close battles within a score pretty much throughout the meet.
Right, and Oshlag got a nice win at 57 over Fraser. That's ranked kid, up middle to upper 20s, and so that was a nice win. And then Kekaisen got taken down right off the bat. But man, that's why I love watching that kid wrestle, and I like watching Coleman too, because they wrestle wide open. But that Kekaisen, man, it didn't matter. Got taken down. We're going to get the takedown. We'll get the escape, get the takedown, let him up, get the takedown. He's gonna wear you out. You better be in shape when you wrestle that guy, because he is a goer. Just love watching him. And that was to come back from that early takedown.
Yeah, he's a guy. It's not the same style, so I'm not saying they're similar, but you just don't see the Randy Lewises anymore, right? Where a guy's willing to give up 10 because they know they're going to score 14, kind of thing. Where Kekaisen, he'll keep firing, and if he gives up a takedown, he doesn't matter. He doesn't care, because he'll escape and he's going to go right back to the action. Where he'll beat somebody 7-5 or 10-8 or whatever he needs to do, because he's just the Energizer Bunny of sorts. With the action that he has. And you talk about 7 minutes, and that's wrestling 7 minutes. That's cliche, but for Keckeisen, you just know for 7 minutes he's going to go hard.
Right, and I'll kind of put him in. If you're going way back in Iowa history, I'll go away from Lewis, who's in my mind was more of a thrower, and I'll go to Barry Davis, who was the takedown.
Sure. That's
Energizer Bunny.
Oh yeah, no, that's even a better comparison there.
That's Barry Davis is pretty darn special, as was Lewis. But so for us to say that about Kekaisen, that's very nice.
Yeah.
But
Iowa State did have a good weekend. They followed that up with a win over Illinois on Sunday. So they're sitting in good shape heading to the Big 12s, that we'll talk about later on. Iowa, they beat Michigan 33-8. Really kind of a lackluster duel as far as matchups. The only one that really kind of stood out, obviously, was at heavyweight. That was exciting match. I think probably the best Tony Cassioppi's ever done against Mason Paris, even though Paris able to get an escape and take down, and I think even added riding time when it was all said and done for a 9-7 win to close out uh, the duel. The only other real top guy that Michigan even wrestled, well, I guess Fine Silver wrestled, but I Will Lujan at 157 wrestled as well in a big match against Kobe Sebrecht. With Sebrecht getting a takedown in overtime using his funk to win 3-1. That was a big win for Kobe Sebrecht.
Right, that was a great scramble, wasn't it? Because
Yeah,
I thought Luan was in deep, and Seabreak did a great job of battling and gaining the position in the scramble, and then eventually scoring it. So
yeah, kind of a cartwheel, kind of funny. He didn't even know how to really explain what happened or what he did, which tells you how much he kind of goes off field. But yeah, that was kind of the marquee win for Iowa, and a big one. But not a lot of real good matchups beside maybe that and in heavyweight, to be honest. So
the at 125, the only other ranked wrestler that I'm aware of was Medley, who's 14th, and then Lee beating 11-2, and then of course Lee beats. We're going to get to it in a minute. Another top 10 ranked wrestler in from Minnesota.
right.
So, seems like that's all he's doing is wrestling top ranked guys.
Yeah. And coming away with, I think he's at 52 straight victories so far. And did he beat McKee by major? Was it major or decision?
7-1.
7-1. So his only non-bonus point victory so far this year. So that's worth kind of keeping tabs on when it comes to Hodge voting and stuff. But and the big thing about Spencer Lee coming this week, probably a lot of a bittersweet situation for him and Iowa fans. Senior day against Oklahoma State on Sunday, the day after state tournament finals. It'll be his last home duel, as well as Max Murin's at 149, Jacob Warner at 197. So their last home duels, but kind of the first of the last of Spencer Lee as a Hawkeye coming up with senior day with his last home duel.
Yeah, it'll be like you said, bittersweet. He's been pretty special for that program. I don't know that anyone's has carried the program quite like he has. I mean, there's been obviously great wrestlers, but some of them were helped by each other and their team. He's just stood above and carried it on his shoulders.
He's been the face of the program since he committed, probably, really, when you think about it. Even before he even stepped on campus, when he made his commitment, he became, kind of the poster child for the program from there on.
Yeah, so, I think he attracted a lot of other wrestlers to the team.
Yes.
I know I was sitting down at one of the freestyle events, and who was sitting next to us was Spencer Lee, and who was sitting next to him, DeSantos, who's being recruited or whatever to Iowa. So I know at least that one was a bit of a factor. So, anyway.
So big day Sunday down in Iowa City for that. And let's not forget the contributions that Murin and Warner and some others have made as well. So, they'll also be wrestling their last match. But I can only imagine the crowd, the pop from the crowd when Lee comes out from the tunnel, and even when Max and Warner come out as well. I think those those fans will really show their appreciation for their careers. The last 6-7 years, really.
Well, yeah, I was going to say Lee and Murin are both 6-year seniors. Is Warner a 5th year? Or is he a 6-year also?
I think he's a 6 year as well.
That's what I was wondering.
Right?
So,
COVID, red shirt, yeah.
so three guys that have put a lot of time and energy and money
Yeah, for
to
sure.
that school. Well,
For
maybe
sure.
not money. I don't know.
The only thing I'll kind of add, Co had a nice little finish to its regular season. They handled Cornell at Mount Vernon on Thursday. And then they followed that up with a win against UW. I know a win over Dubuque was 26-17. And I'm pretty sure they won 8. They won 8 out of 10 matches against Cornell and won pretty handily the night before. So good way for Co to end the regular season. Now they've got a little bit of a break before the regionals down in Springfield, Illinois. And another American Rivers Conference result of note, Wartburg defeated Loris, I believe, on Friday night as well. And that clinched the league championship for the Knights.
And Upper Iowa, did you happen to see what Upper Iowa did?
I think their last results, they dropped both duels to St. Cloud State and Parkside.
They had 2 tough ones.
Yes.
I figured as much.
Two really top 5 teams there. So tough ones, but they'll bounce back here as we kind of, I think they finished with Minnesota State here this week, and then they'll be getting ready for the postseason as well after that duel against the Mavericks, which I believe is at Dorman Gymnasium at home. So any other final comments or thoughts?
Other than Oklahoma State, Iowa this weekend, but I'm guessing the others are pretty idle because of the state tournament. So let's have fun down in Des Moines.
Yep. So, all right. Well, I know I'll be heading down there. Are you going to go and watch in person or?
I can watch on TV now, so
Okay.
I've got that option for the semifinals and finals for free.
That's right. And it's interesting you mentioned that. I have that here where you can watch semifinals and finals will be streamed on the Iowa it's ihssn.com or the Watch IHSSN app. In addition, the semifinals will be aired on the IHSSN cable network. And the final, which I believe is going to be in our area, it's a KFXA alternate channel for the cable network, and the television network is the same as well. So, yeah. And if you want to see preliminary rounds, consolation rounds, individual matches, that's available through a subscription on Flow Wrestling and stuff. But yeah, be able to get to see a lot of action on TV. So that's good. That's good. Like seeing that expanded coverage.
Yep.
All right. Well, get ready for Wells Fargo and the Wrestlers Clear the Mats call, which is always a staple that was, that's been in place for a long time. Why am I blanking on the announcing legend?
Ed Winger.
Ed Winger. Yep. So he immortalized that phrase, and they still use it now. Our friend John Randall, part of the announcing crew, great voice out of Prairie, is a part of that and carries on that tradition. Look forward to hearing that, and I hope everybody has safe travels. Thanks for watching us again. We'll see you next week. Go ahead and send us out, Coach.
Let's keep wrestling on the move.